The Snake Eye engine is finally full power, and what better deck to abuse it than the Fire Kings. What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Cards and Coffee. Today I have the Snake Eyes Fire King deck. If you're looking for a deck list for yourself, or maybe you just want to understand what other duelists are playing, then trust me, this is the perfect video for you. But of course, before we jump into all that, make sure you grab yourself a cup of coffee or something. That way you guys can sit down and tune in. Alright, so this deck is so much fun to play. Not only does this deck have so many options in the combos it can do, but in the deck building as well. Today I'm going to show you guys what I expect the deck to look like right now, and of course I'll give you some other tech choices along the way. But without wasting any more time, for the Snake Eyes, we have 3 copies of Ash, the Stratos of the deck. 9 times out of 10, you're going to use it to search the newly added Snake Eyes Poplar. Whenever Poplar is added from deck to hand, you can special summon it to the field. Plus, on normal or special, you can add a Snake Eyes spell or trap from your deck to hand. This gets the whole engine online. Plus, whenever it leaves the field, you can target any fire in your grave and put it face up in your spell and trap zone. This is basically the niche of the Snake Eye engine because a lot of your cards need other face up cards to go to the grave for their effect. Obviously, we're already familiar with original Sinful Spoils, but also Snake Eye Ash has a similar effect where it will send itself and another face up card to the grave to summon another Snake Eye monster. Also, there's Snake Eyes Oak, which can do the same thing, but its primary effect is on normal or special. You can target a level 1 fire that is in the grave or banish and special summon it to the field, or even add it to your hand for follow-up. But then for the last Snake Eyes monster, we have the one Flamberg Dragon. This is the go-to boss monster of the deck and is what you're primarily summoning off of your secondary effect with Ash and Oak. This card does so much for the deck. Not only can you target a face-up monster on the field or in either graveyard and put it as a continuous spell card, but also it has the quick effect during your opponent's turn to special summon one of the monsters that are treated as spell cards to the field. This could be your card or your opponent's. This card's very versatile in what it can do, but the craziest effect it has is when it's sent from hand or field to grave. You can target 2 level 1 fires in your grave and special summon them to the field, essentially giving you more and more link fodder for this deck. Obviously, we just got the Promethean Princess as well, so again, make sure you stick around to the end of the video, that way you can see some of the combos. But for the last honorary Snake Eyes monster, it's the Diabell Star, the Black Witch. Now that we have Poplar, we have so many ways to get into our original Sinful Spoils. You could even argue running multiple targets because it's so easy to get these cards and sometimes you need another target in deck. But of course, alongside this, we're going to be playing 3 copies of the Wanted and of course 3 copies of Bonfire. This deck has so many Rotas, it has Stratos as well. This deck is so consistent and gets online so easily. But that's not only the only fire engine in this deck. Of course, we're playing the Fire Kings as well. Our lineup's going to be a lot smaller compared to other profiles. Of course, we're playing 3 Kieran alongside 1 Grunix, 1 Ponix, and 1 Arvada. Since the Snake Eye cards are so consistent and so powerful, there's really no reason to be playing more Fire King cards in your deck. But this engine also has some supporting spells. Obviously, we're playing 1 copy of Sanctuary, and I'm only running 1 copy of Island, and of course, I'm playing 1 copy of Skyburn. When it comes to the Fire King spells, I think a bare minimum you need to play is 3, but I don't think I'd ever play more than 4. You could also just run a 2nd copy of the Fire King Island for more consistency. There are so many different decks in the format, especially right now while we're waiting for people to get their hands on the fire cards. Hand traps really are just the best approach into a diverse meta, and in time we'll see how things change. But right now I'm running 3 copies of Impermanence, 3 copies of Ash, 3 copies of Droll alongside 3 copies of Nibiru. Droll and Nibiru are very high impact, but by themselves they don't always stop these Snake Eye decks. That's why I feel like you have to at least play 12 hand traps, that way you can hopefully draw 2 of them. Heck, you could even add more hand traps if you wanted to, but for right now I'm running 3 copies of Triple Tactics Talents alongside 1 copy of Call by the Grave. Another card to consider would be Crossout Designator. Obviously, if we expect a lot of fire decks in the format, then being able to use it to stop something like Populous or Ash is really strong by itself. Then of course it can also trade with stuff like hand traps, so it helps push your combos through as well. But currently for me, I side deck the card for whenever I'm going first because I just don't like how it plays into boards going second. But that's it for the main deck, a solid 40. Now let's hop into the extra. Really quickly, I just wanted to showcase these new Brush Start sleeves from Dragon Shield. These things are so beautiful. They are the Wood Dragon 2024. But what really makes them special is, unlike all the other brush darts, they are the dual matte sleeves, so the inside is black. Dragon Shield actually has a bunch of new sleeves coming out right now, so make sure you check out my affiliate link down below, and if you happen to purchase any of the sleeves on the website, since you used my link, a portion of that profit comes back to the channel, and it helps me make content for you. But now, hopping into the extra deck, there's actually a couple of flex slots, but first is Link Rebo. This is 100% staple. There are so many combos that you need this card, plus when it's in the graveyard, you can use it to dodge stuff like Imperm. Currently, that's the only Link one I'm playing, but for the Link 2s, we have SP Little Knight alongside IP Masquerena. A lot of the times, you'll make Masquerena in the middle of your combo, and then when you bring out Flamberg, you'll put it in the spell and trap zone. That way you can bring it out on your opponent's turn, and then make SP Little Knight as another interruption. In addition, we're also running the Dark Charmer alongside the Fire Charmer. These cards are so insane right now. Not only will you steal your opponent's Snake Eye monsters with Hida, but you can also steal Ash if you get hit with hand traps. At the end of the day, you're just trying to link climb, and these cards just help you get there. Also, Dark can bring back Dia Bellstar, so that's another way to get your engine going if your opponent threw hand traps at you. I'm also running a Nightmare Phoenix. This is a flex slot in the extra deck. For me, it's been very useful to have back row removal in the deck. Not only can it help you out the continuous spell for Voiceless Voice, that way you can target their monsters, but even in the mirror match, there are times where Fire King Island isn't going to be protected by Sanctuary or the Skyburn in the graveyard. Also, getting cards out of your hand to the grave can come up, but for the last Link 2, we have the One Sunlight Wolf. This card's so important for the deck. There are so many different combos you use it for, whether it's adding follow-up or even Kieran for disruption. Normally, you'll use it to go into your Heat Soul alongside the Link Rebo. Again, just another card for your end board to let you draw cards, or even putting it in grave to bring back off of one of your Link 4s, which we'll talk about in a sec. But to me, hands down, the best Link 3. We have 2 copies of Promethean Princess. I really think you only need 1, but I personally play 2 because I find it comes up in the mid to late game. Plus, so many people are playing Soul Release and DD Crows, and they're just trying to find ways to get rid of it from your grave. In case you don't know what this does, while it's on the field, you're locked into fires, but once per turn, you can special summon any fire from your graveyard to the field. This will help you link climb, but it has an amazing graveyard effect as well. When your opponent special summons a monster, you can target a fire monster you control and any monster they control. You'll destroy them both, and then you can special summon her back to the field. She is an amazing extender, and of course, a great disruption on your opponent's turn as well. Not only will she help you trigger the Fire Kings, but also the Amblo Whale as well. In case you don't know, Whale gains 200 attack for every Link monster in the grave, but also whenever it's destroyed, you can special summon a Link 3 or lower from your graveyard. But just keep in mind, if you use Princess to pop this, and then the Princess hits the field, you're locked into fire, so now you have to bring out something like Sunlight Wolf, or of course the Heat Soul. But another thing to keep in mind is also, if ever a Link monster is destroyed while it's in the grave, you can banish it from the graveyard and pop another card on the field. These cards are so versatile, and one of the craziest things this deck can do is make our Raging Phoenix and link it off into our Zelantis. It's so easy to OTK out of nowhere with this deck, but OTKs aren't everything. One of the best cards in the game right now is going to be Appaloosa. This is one of the best floodgates against so many of these fire decks. Again, you have to keep in mind, Talents is so scary against this card. Most of your interaction is based in monster effects, so if your opponent steals your Appo, it might be a little bit hard to stop them from comboing off. But the last card in this extra is the rank 8 for the deck. You don't have to play this card. I keep taking it in and out of the deck as well. You could run something like Relinquished Anima, or Selene, or Axis Code, or heck, you could even run Typhon. The sky's the limit with this deck, and that's what makes it so great. But let's hop into some combos, that way you guys can see what this deck can do. Alright, so there are so many combos that this deck can do, and just off of one card. If you want me to deep dive into a bunch of different lines this deck has, then comment down below and I can make a video for that as well. I also have a pure Snake Eye video coming out soon, so make sure you guys stick around for that. But starting things off, of course, we're going to normal summon Ash, and we're going to use its effect to search. Poplar now gets added to hand, and then we can use its effect to special summon itself to the field. On summon, now we can grab the original Simple Spoils. And again, there are so many lines with this one card combo, but in this case, we're going to use Ash's secondary effect and send these both to the grave. This will special summon Oak from the deck, and now we can go Chain Link 1 Oak to special Ash, and then Chain Link 2 Poplar to put itself in the spell and trap zone. This comes back to the field, and of course this gets summoned. And now we can use Oak and send itself and the Poplar to summon one from deck. And now the Flamberg hits the field, and you might be asking yourself, why not just make something like the Link Rebo with Poplar instead? I don't know if you're counting, but right now this is the 5th summon, so now if you get hit with Nibiru, you'll get more bodies to the field and continue playing. If you make Link Rebo, you can get nibbed before the Flamberg hits the field, and if they nib you anytime after that, you still have your original Simple Spoils to start getting into your Fire Kings after. after. But now, before we link these two off, we're actually going to use the Flamberg effect, and we're going to put Poplar back in the spell and trap. Next, we'll go ahead and we'll link these two off. Sunlight Wolf will hit the field, and our Flamberg will activate, and we can bring these two back to the field. Sunlight Wolf will now activate, and we can add Flamberg to hand. Next, of course, we'll link one of these off into the Link Karibo, and then immediately after that, we can link these off into our Heat Soul. Now we can pay 1,000 life, and we can draw one card, and then we can link the last two monsters off, and of course, go into our Appaloosa. This will have 2 negations, which is really amazing, and now we're free to not be worried about Ash, and we can activate our original Sinful Spoils and send this Poplar to grave. Ponix now hits the field, and we can use its effect to grab the Sanctuary. Immediately after, we can now activate it, and of course, we'll use its effect to put ourselves the island on the field. Now, usually this is where people would pop the Ponix to add Garunix, but again, this is where we're actually going to need to pop the Fire in hand. Since we did the Appaloosa line, we need to make sure we have 3 bodies on the field, that way we can go into Princess. So we'll activate Fire King Island, we'll destroy this monster in our hand, and we'll add Garunix. Garunix will now activate to special summon itself to the field, and then on summon, we'll use its effect to destroy something from deck. After that, as Chain Link 2, now you're going to use that Link Karibo in grave. We're going to tribute off that Ponix to special summon itself to the field. Now we have a Fire King monster in the grave, so we can go ahead and dump something like Arvada and use Arvada's effect to bring back Ponix. Now it's pretty straightforward. We have 3 monsters we can link off. We can go into our Promethean Princess, and we can use its effect to bring back any fire from our grave. The main reason is because we're just going to link them off right away, and this is where we'll go into Ambler Whale. This field's nice because it plays around Super Poly. It does play into Triple Tactics talents, but it plays around a lot of the best hand traps in the game right now. Obviously, we have our Appaloosa negates, but also if ever your opponent special summons a monster, we can bring back our Princess and destroy our Whale. Not only are they losing a monster, but our Whale will activate alongside our Garunix as well. This can now special summon any Link 3 or lower from the grave. We are locked into fires, but we have Heat Soul and grave, and now of course Garunix can summon itself to the field, and we can use its effect once again to destroy something from the deck. Now we get to destroy more cards again. Kieran will now activate, destroy one of their cards non-targeting after you bring back a Fire King. We dumped Arvada last turn, so now we get to bring it back as another monster negate as an interruption. Don't forget, you also now have Heat Soul, so you can pay 1,000 to draw one more card. Plus, in the case of something like this Nibiru, it can be a little awkward sometimes defensively because you're locked into fires, but again, you have Arvada. Make sure you destroy this, that way something like Nibiru is live. Again, there are so many other one-card combos, so just comment down below if you want me to make an entire video off of it. But next, I'm going to show you what happens if you get hit with Droll and Lock Bird. Alright, so for this one, so many people say this deck loses to Droll and Lock Bird, but in this case, again, just with Ash, we can still make an amazing first turn board if we do get hit with Droll. You don't even need to change anything you would normally do. Just like last time, you'll normal Ash and use the effect to add Poplar. As Chain Link 1, Poplar will activate to summon itself from hand, and Chain Link 2, your opponent will discard Droll and Lock Bird. That'll all resolve, and Poplar hits the field. Now, you don't get the original Sinful Spoils, but that's okay because you can still build a board with these Snake Eye cards. Just like last time, now we can use Ash. We'll send these two to grave to summon from deck. Oak hits the field. Chain Link 1 Oak, Chain Link 2 Poplar. This will go back to the spell and trap, and Ash will hit the field. Now we can use Oak and Poplar, and this is again, we'll summon the Flamberg from deck. There's a couple of things you can do. You can do that Sunlight Wolf play if you want to recur something for follow-up, but we want to make an amazing board, so we're just going to link these two off and go straight into our IP Masquerena. Now we can use our Flamberg's effect, and of course special summon any 2 level 1 fires from our grave. Now we'll just take this Masquerena and any of these bodies, and we'll go into our new Promethean Princess and use the effect to bring our Flamberg back from the graveyard. Again, we're locked into fires, but that does not matter. We'll use the Flamberg effect, and we'll put the Masquerena in the spell and trap zone, and now we'll use that last level 1 alongside the Princess and go into our Ambler Whale. Not only do you still have 4 cards in hand, but during your opponent's turn, you can use the Flamberg to summon IP Masquerena. Then anytime you're ready, you can use the effect to link summon. You can summon SP Little Knight, and you can go Chain Link 2 SP Little Knight and Chain Link 1 Flamberg. Now you can banish a card and summon out 2 bodies as well, and then of course you can use Oak Chain Link 2 and Ash Chain Link 1. Now you get Poplar as well, and we'll go ahead and add follow-up. Another Ash is always solid, and then Poplar also gets us the Sinful Spoils. We now have so much follow-up, plus when Poplar leaves the field, you can go ahead and put Flamberg in the spell and trap, so on your next turn, if you send this to grave with one of your Snake Eyes, then you get to soul charge the graveyard again and bring back more bodies. But if your opponent continues to play, you have SP Little Knight that can banish one of their cards, plus if they keep special summoning, now you can use your Promethean Princess, destroy any of your fires on the field to destroy their monsters. Another thing to note is if you had a Kieran in your hand, then you can use this now as an interruption. At any time, you can use Kieran to summon itself to the field by destroying your princess. This will trigger the whale in the grave, so essentially now at any time you can pop a card that they have. Hopefully you'll have some hand traps to protect you, but you know you have all the follow-up in the world as well. This deck is so resilient to hand traps and so good in the format right now, and this right here is why it's one of the best decks going forward. But that's gonna wrap things up for today's video. Thank you guys so much again for tuning in, and again, comment down below if you guys want to see more combos, and of course make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We have so much more Fire King and Snake Eyes content coming out. But as always, thanks for tuning in, and here's hoping to see you on the next one. Peace.